Trump's former national security advisor could face jail time after a very public spat with the president. A shock plea twist has unfolded in the classified document saga, with Trump's ex-hawk admitting guilt to illegally retaining sensitive national security information instead of fighting the charges at trial. Under the plea deal, Trump's ex-security chief now faces a sentence that could run up to 5 years in prison, depending on how the judge weighs his cooperation and the seriousness of the offense. Former Trump advisor John Bolton has pleaded guilty to illegally retaining classified files, entering a deal that could help him avoid prison. On June 26, Bolton struck a plea agreement with prosecutors that is designed to limit his exposure to a custodial sentence if the judge accepts its terms. The former national security advisor pleaded guilty to a single count in federal court in Maryland, rather than contesting the full slate of earlier charges. Bolton is scheduled to be sentenced on October 28 by Judge Theodore Chuang, who will decide whether to follow or depart from the recommended terms. Under the plea deal, any prison term is recommended to be capped at 5 years, according to reports about the agreement's framework. Bolton retains the right to withdraw his plea if the judge imposes a longer prison sentence than envisioned, or a financial penalty exceeding $2.25 million. He was originally indicted last October on 18 counts related to classified information, reflecting the breadth of alleged mishandling. The case centered on diary-like notes that Bolton kept and shared with family members as he worked on a memoir about his government career. The FBI searched Bolton's home and office last August as part of the investigation into how he stored and used sensitive material. The probe began before Donald Trump returned to the White House in January 2025, indicating it originated under the previous administration. John Bolton served in Trump's first administration as National Security Advisor before leaving the post in 2019 after policy and personal clashes. His book, The Room Where It Happened, offered a sharply critical portrait of Trump's leadership style and decision-making. The Trump administration tried to block the book's publication on the grounds that it contained classified material, but those efforts ultimately failed and the book was released. Bolton's indictment focused on diary-style notes he shared with his wife and daughter, rather than on the content of his published book itself. Prosecutors say Bolton shared this information using his personal email accounts and a private group chat, bypassing official channels while still documenting highly sensitive material from his time in office. According to the charging document, the group chat itself was created in 2018, just 1 day before he was sworn in as National Security Advisor, suggesting he planned this off-the-books record-keeping in advance. The chat reportedly included 2 relatives and was brazenly titled For Diary in the Future, implying that Bolton intended from the outset to use it as a private archive of his work at the very top of U.S. national security. In July 2018, he is said to have sent a 25-page document to this chat and added the comment "none of which we talk about," underscoring that he knew the material was sensitive and not meant for open discussion. The diary entries allegedly described Bolton's day-to-day activities as National Security Advisor, including meetings, briefings, and decisions, effectively creating a parallel record of White House business outside official systems. Remember, Bolton held the post of U.S. National Security Advisor during Donald Trump's first term, giving him access to some of the most closely guarded national security discussions in the government. In July 2021, about 2 years after he left the job, Bolton's team notified the Biden administration that his personal email accounts had been hacked, raising concerns that these diary materials could have been exposed. His staff claimed that at least one of Bolton's personal email accounts had been compromised, suggesting that outsiders might have gained access to his detailed notes and correspondence. However, according to the indictment, the government was never explicitly told that the hacked account contained classified information, meaning investigators were not initially alerted to the full national security risk. Soon after charges were filed, Bolton pushed back by alleging that the FBI had long been aware of the breach and therefore could not credibly claim to be blindsided by what his accounts contained. He also pointed out that the Biden administration did not charge him when they first reviewed the breach, suggesting that the new indictment is politically motivated rather than purely about security. Bolton now becomes the third outspoken critic of Donald Trump to face prosecution in recent weeks, fueling accusations that the current administration is targeting prominent opponents of the former president. The U.S. Department of Justice indictment read, and I quote, "Bolton took detailed notes documenting his day-to-day meetings, activities, and briefings. Frequently, Bolton handwrote these notes on yellow notepads throughout his day at the White House complex or in other secure locations, and then later rewrote his notes in a word processing document. The notes that Bolton sent to individuals 1 and 2 using his non-governmental personal email accounts and messaging account described in detail Bolton's daily activities. As the National Security Advisor, Often, Bolton's notes described the secure setting or environment in which he learned the national defense and classified information that he was memorializing in his notes. On or about September 24, 2019, 14 days after he was no longer employed as the National Security Adviser, Bolton left the messaging chat group with individuals 1 and 2 that he had used to send them more than 1,000 pages of notes memorializing his time as National Security Adviser. End quote. Bolton has responded by saying he looks forward to defending what he calls his lawful conduct in court and claims the case will give him a chance to expose what he describes as Donald Trump's abuse of power. His lawyer insists that Bolton has not engaged in any wrongdoing, arguing that the diaries were personal records and that he handled them in a way consistent with many public officials across history. Bolton surrendered himself to a federal court in Maryland on October 17, appearing before a judge to face the charges even as he and his legal team vowed to fight them vigorously. Bolton's lawyer said, and I quote, "These charges stem from portions of Ambassador Bolton's personal diaries over his 45-year career, records that are unclassified, shared only with his immediate family, and known to the FBI as far back as 2021. Like many public officials throughout history, Ambassador Bolton kept diaries. That is not a crime." End quote. Asked about the indictment, Donald Trump brushed off his former national security advisor as a bad guy, using the moment to attack Bolton's character rather than comment on the specific charges he now faces.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.